Tonight, baby mystery. A newborn found dumped in the backyard of a Keilor Downs home.
A 15-year-old crashes a stolen ute into a pole at a busy Richmond intersection.
Canberra takes desperate measures to ensure Australia doesn't run out of fuel.
Why you could be forced to pay for pest and building inspections next time you sell your home.
John Farnham's band gets back together for a special tribute as his son reflects on Dad's battle.
And Sam Doherty joins us live to preview tonight's Blues Tigers blockbuster.
This is Melbourne's 9 News with Alicia Loxley and Tom Steinfort.
Good evening. A newborn baby has been found abandoned but alive in the backyard of a home in Melbourne's northwest.
Neighbours reported hearing a loud bang before the infant was taken away to safety. Eliza Rugg has our report.
The arrival of a newborn baby, not a time of joy for one family, at the centre of a criminal investigation after a tiny child was left in the backyard of a Keilor Downs home.
It's awful and, it's scary. Yeah, people can do those, especially with babies. Yeah, it's not good, unacceptable.
Just before 8 this morning, residents of a house on Copernicus Way found the newborn in their backyard. It sparked a frantic emergency response.
We heard inside here a noise about 7:45, 8 o'clock, just a sort of a bang.
The baby was rushed to Sunshine Hospital with bloody towels left on the nature strip. At a house around the corner on Dion Court, a 22-year-old woman was taken away on a stretcher by paramedics.
They're rushing in, cars in and out, and then everyone's panicking and going towards that side.
As forensic teams moved in, a tarp was put up over the fence separating the two properties, with police door-knocking neighbouring homes. The crime scene here has remained in place for a number of hours as detectives interview both the people who found the baby and those people at the property next door where the woman was discovered, to establish what led up to the incident that so easily could have ended in tragedy. In some good news, the baby and the woman are both now in a stable condition. Eliza Rugg, 9 News.
Witnesses say it was lucky no one was killed when a stolen ute slammed into a traffic light in the heart of Richmond. Live now to Ollie Haig, who's on the corner of Church and Swan Streets. Ollie, a teenager has been arrested.
Yeah, Alicia, a 15-year-old boy. Now, he was allegedly inside a Nissan ute that has gone through Church Street. It smashed into that light pole behind me, right to outside the Swan Hotel. Now, this was about 3 o'clock, so it was very, very busy with people. And pub goers have then told me they've seen 3 youths get out of that vehicle, one wearing a mask, the others in dark clothing. They've then legged it down Church Street. The police helicopter has gone up. Authorities have swarmed to the area, and interestingly, police say then a 15-year-old boy who was allegedly in that car has returned to the vehicle. He's then been arrested.
Now to look at, and then there was the car hitting the traffic light, and then luckily there was no one injured.
There were 3 people running, and the lights, as you have seen, they were broken.
Now, Alicia, 2 girls remain on the run tonight, but police are also investigating another incident that happened about an hour later from what happened here, where we've had reports that a vehicle has been driving on the wrong side of the Monash Freeway and has sideswiped a whole heap of vehicles on one of the off-ramps near Richmond this afternoon. So certainly a very busy afternoon for authorities here in Richmond.
Yes,
Alicia?
Indeed, Ollie. All right, thank you. Well, as oil depots explode and tankers burn in the Middle East, the federal government has taken steps to secure our fuel supplies at home. 100 million litres of extra petrol is being freed up by lowering its quality to quell panic buying and shortages. Here's Charles Croucher.
An oil crisis tonight fueling only fears. This strike believed to be from an Iranian drone igniting a major fuel storage tank in Oman. In Iraqi waters, 2 oil tankers up in flames. Tonight, 3 more ships damaged in the Strait of Hormuz. The world watching and forced to wait.
Can the Prime Minister guarantee that Australia will not run out of fuel?
We're working with industry, we're working with the NFF, we're making sure that we put in place all the appropriate measures to ensure that there is fuel security in this country.
The Strait of Hormuz tonight at a standstill. 20% of global oil should be flowing through the vital lane. Instead, Iranian oil flows have increased. In response, the International Energy Agency releasing 400 million barrels of emergency crude.
The largest ever release of emergency oil stocks in our agency's history.
Which will substantially reduce the oil prices as we end this threat to America and this threat to the world.
Australia is a signatory but won't send oil offshore. The government instead lowering the accepted sulphur standard in fuel coming from the Ampol refinery in Brisbane back to 2025 levels. That fuel usually sent for export.
This will see 100 million litres of fuel extra flow in Australia a month.
But the war and oil squeeze continues as America eyes a small island holding 90% of Iran's export oil. An Iranian spokesperson warning get ready for the oil barrel to be at $200. It's drastically higher than this week's surge that took prices to nearly $120 a barrel on Monday before settling tonight at $98. That should mean prices fall here.
I think there have been some suspicious price rises. It's for the ACCC to determine that. And if anyone's doing the wrong thing, they'll be hit with bigger fines.
The longer the war, the larger the risk. Tonight, state governments already finalising plans to prioritise things like hospitals and emergency services if required.
We're better prepared than we otherwise would have been, but we don't know what the future holds.
Charles Cratcher, 9 News.
Despite the conflict intensifying, Donald Trump is insisting the war is already won. He made the call as the US faces blame for a deadly strike on a school allegedly caused by outdated military intelligence. More from Mimi Becker.
America flexing its military might, releasing footage showing Iran's air capabilities being targeted. But it's on the ground where residents are picking up the pieces. Rescue crews combed through rubble in Tehran after being pounded by US and Israeli bombs. This man says this area is residential and there are no military installations here. Thousands have also lined the streets to mourn officials killed. As details emerge about the new Supreme Leader's injuries, he hasn't been seen since before the war. Mushtaba Hamani reportedly has a broken foot and facial lacerations.
You know, you never like to say too early you won. We won. We won the bet. In the first hour, it was over. We don't want to leave early, do we? We got to finish the job, right?
But tonight, there are reports outdated US intelligence is possibly to blame for a strike that killed 168 children and 14 teachers at an Iranian school.
A new report says the military investigation has found it was the United States that struck the school.
I don't know about
Hezbollah and Iran firing 100 rockets at northern Israel. The IDF continuing to hit Beirut hard. Authorities say in Lebanon, more than 600 people have been killed and 800,000 displaced. Last year, the war with Iran lasted 12 days. This conflict is already stretching longer. Leaders adamant there'll be no slowing down in their fight.
Well, I think the Australian leadership understood that this is a war which has an enormous impact on the future of the region.
Ori from Melbourne has called Israel home for the past decade. Now he's serving as an IDF soldier.
I've got a responsibility for my people, responsibility for my neighbours, and I've chosen to do this.
In Israel, Mimi Becker, 9 News.
Despite the US saying the war will end soon, its own intelligence reports that Iran's leadership is largely intact and at no risk of collapsing anytime soon. That is despite repeated bombardment from Israel and the US for nearly 2 weeks. Finding an end to this war will be complex, with Iran now asking for reparations and also international security guarantees to ensure there's no future attacks. Tom?
All right, Mimi Becker there. Thank you. There were tears of relief as the first flight from Doha to Melbourne in 11 days touched down this morning. 160 stranded Australians were on board, with many forced to take a long journey to get home.
As soon as it all sort of started, I just wanted to get out straight away. 16-hour bus ride to Riyadh, Riyadh to Jeddah, Jeddah to KL, and KL back to Melbourne. So I'm very grateful to be back here.
It made me leave his home
I can sleep tonight.
The flight was initially delayed on the tarmac in Qatar after a missile alert was issued nearby.
The resignation of a former spy boss has plunged the Bondi Royal Commission into turmoil. Dennis Richardson says he walked away from the $5,500 a day job because he was overpaid and underutilised. National Affairs Editor Andrew Probyn.
Former spy boss Dennis Richardson was the Prime Minister's first pick to investigate intelligence gaps in the lead-up to the Bondi massacre.
This is the most experienced person.
But when Anthony Albanese relented to pressure to hold a Royal Commission, Mr Richardson's role was subsumed by Virginia Bell's inquiry.
I was a fifth wheel and I was surplus to requirements. It became, in my view, largely a research role.
One for which he was being paid $5,500 a day.
I was being overpaid for what I was doing.
But with his resignation goes the expertise as a former boss of ASIO and the Defence Department.
In essence, your expertise was being sidelined.
It wasn't being sidelined, but I don't think it was being effectively utilised.
I do seriously worry that the credibility of the Royal Commission has been fatally damaged.
Multiple sources have told 9 News that the sometimes poisonous relationship between the New South Wales and federal police is of interest to the Royal Commission. Virginia Bell will deliver her initial assessment by the end of April. Andrew Probyn, 9 News.
Well, tradition takes centre stage tonight as Carlton and Richmond go head-to-head at the MCG, and that is where we find Tony Jones. Tony, huge crowd in store.
Absolutely, Tom, and I know that you're nervous being a Tiger man, and you've got good reason to, because even though Richmond overran Carlton this time last year, the Blues have got so much to play for tonight, having been absolutely humiliated in Sydney this time last week. So Carlton fans come here tonight, look, I've got to say reasonably confident, but probably more hopeful than anything else. What are you doing?
I'm just here,
Doing what?
going to the game.
Are you confident?
For Carlton, yeah.
There you go. So Richmond supporters also confident. Carlton supporters a little lost for words, you'd think. Now, conditions-wise, Scherri-Lee Biggs told us last night that it is going to be a little bit on the chilly side, and I've got to say she was spot on. Well done, you.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I try my best, TJ. But yes, it has been quite chilly. We've got a bit of a southerly breeze coming through. So at the start of the game, it is going to feel like 10 degrees. So your team jumpers and scarves are a must. I'm probably in the market for a new one. And can't rule out the chance of a shower, but very, very slim chance. So there you go.
A bit like Richmond's chances tonight, you'd see. I did say that, actually. All right, Scherri-Lee, we'll check in with you a little later on. A massive night coming up in sport. We've got Sam Docherty, no less, the somewhat controversial ex-Carlton captain. He'll be joining us live. Sam McClure will also be joining us with some breaking news, and I'm not entirely sure Collingwood fans are going to be all that thrilled about it. And also Owen Leonard will be here with the teams for round one. So that's all coming up on what's looming is a very big night here at the MCG. We'll talk to you soon, guys.
Very dismissive of the Tigers, Tony. Let's not forget what happened last year.
Ancient history.
We'll see you soon. Victorians putting a property on the market may soon have to pay for the building inspection in a government push to save buyers time and money. But Labor says the change is a year away if they're re-elected. State political reporter Heidi Murphy.
Homebuyers Rose and Jordan tell a familiar tale.
We didn't want any hidden costs. We wanted to know exactly what we were buying.
So they paid up big for property inspections only to lose out at auction.
Sold. The cheapest I think was about $480, and then the more expensive ones were like up to $600.
Not under this re-election pitch from Labor.
We're changing the rules to make it a requirement for a homeworthy certificate to be provided.
With mandatory pest and building inspections to be paid for by the owner and added to the Section 32 to give any would-be buyer the important details and
to save potential home buyers time and money.
But only if Labor is returned to office.
I don't understand why the government is holding this up as a big cost of living relief exercise if they're not intending to implement it for Victorians now.
It is important that we do the rigorous policy work this year to get this right.
The real estate industry agrees it will need careful work
to avoid lemons being sold, to ensure that those reports are comprehensive enough, clear enough.
Currently, only the ACT puts this particular onus onto the vendor. Then, once the sale goes through, the inspection costs are reimbursed by the new owner. Victoria's version will be based on that, though the government's ruled out a direct copy.
Victoria is a different place. It's a much larger jurisdiction.
Heidi Murphy, 9 News.
John Farnham's music will blast through the speakers at the Myer Music Bowl for a special concert tomorrow night. But it'll be his reunited band in the spotlight as the national treasure continues his cancer battle. Tony Jones has the story.
The band is back together. The Farnham Band, albeit without the main man, John Farnham. When was the last time you spoke with him?
A couple of months ago about this show, and he's very excited about this show. You know, he's given us his blessings.
Given that most of these band members have been with John for more than 30 years, emotions were running high during final rehearsals today, none more so than for Farnham's son, James.
It was good walking in and seeing the band and hearing everything, but you know, once you sort of realised Dad wasn't going to walk in, you know, you could feel the big space was empty, but it was really good to see everyone again.
James and his brother Rob have been rocks for their mum and dad throughout John's cancer ordeal. Can I ask, how's your dad going?
Yeah, Dad's doing real well. Yeah, he's living life to the fullest and loving his grandson, and yeah, he's doing really well.
Has Jet been the best medicine for him?
Yeah, definitely. I think for him and Mum, yeah, they're both loving him. They can't stop calling and coming over, so definitely a good medicine for Dad.
Among the artists who'll be taking to the stage for tomorrow night's tribute concert at the Myer Music Bowl, Jack Jones. On tour years back, Farnham asked Jones to sing Burn For You with him, but through sheer nerves, Jones declined.
I passed that opportunity up, and ever since then, I've been trying to kind of correct history.
Tomorrow night's concert is not only a nod to Farnham, but another shot in the fight against head and neck cancer.
John should be incredibly proud of helping us to shine a spotlight on this cancer. It's often diagnosed late, and it can have a significant, you know, lifelong impact.
Tickets are still available for tomorrow night's concert, and while a bumper crowd is expected, all thoughts will be with one bloke who can't be there.
He doesn't do too much into the music because he kind of gets upset and thinks, you know, about it all.
Tony Jones, 9 News.
And what a terrific night it'll be at the Myer Music Bowl. All right, when Melbourne's 9 News returns, a man charged over a carjacking that ended with a frightening high-speed crash.
Nerves of steel, a pilot saves a man and his dog from raging floodwater.
Plus, energy bill relief on the way, how much you could save.
And Robert Irwin opens up about growing up without his dad.
A 19-year-old Lara man has been charged over a high-speed crash that split a Toyota Kluger in half. The vehicle was stolen in a carjacking at Laverton Station just 5 minutes before the collision on March the 2nd. The accused driver miraculously survived and allegedly fled the scene with minor injuries.
A man and his best mate have leapt to the safety of a helicopter as fast-moving floodwater swallowed their vehicle in the Northern Territory. But as Jessica Millward explains, the weather emergency has turned deadly in Queensland.
A chopper and pilot used to mustering cattle called in for a higher purpose. In violent floodwaters outside Katherine, a mother and son cling to a four-wheel drive, their hope resting with 2 men and a flying machine. Bush pilot John Armstrong at the controls, he expertly rests the chopper's skid on the car's roof. And NT police officer Ben Parfitt guides the woman on board and away.
Everything just seemed to align in this case. The skill of the helicopter pilot, the ability for the smaller helicopter to get closer to the trees.
We don't see the son being saved, but there's more help required. A 50-kilogram German Shepherd, a lucky last survivor, a brave copper carrying him on board a perfectly hovering helicopter.
Yeah, that's not that hard, eh? If you take the river out of the picture, it's just like landing a chopper anywhere.
The flood emergency in the Northern Territory and Queensland has had heroes, but also heartbreak. The bodies of 2 Chinese backpackers discovered in a submerged car in floodwaters near Gympie.
We have been told that the families are coming to Australia and we'll assist them in every way that we possibly can.
For communities hit hard, the big clean-up begins. In Bundaberg, after the flood, comes the mud.
A few tears, but, you know, it has been a big week.
Can you believe we were going through here on a boat yesterday?
Just yesterday, we were just here.
The clean-up job ahead for people like Robert is really overwhelming. There is so much that needs to be done, but they've been here before. And if there's one thing Bundaberg locals know how to do, it's how to handle trying times with good humour. A new flood now written into the history books for this resilient city. In Bundaberg, Jessica Millward, 9 News.
4 tornadoes have raked across America's Midwest, claiming 2 lives, levelling buildings and damaging vehicles. Some parts of Illinois have been decimated after one twister left 1.5 kilometres of destruction in its wake. And the threat isn't over yet, with another round of rain, hail and strong wind forecast. Robert Irwin was just 2 when his father Steve died, and 20 years later the grief is still deep. The wildlife warrior and TV personality has told CNN's Anderson Cooper the connection is strongest when he's alone in nature.
Sometimes one of the nicest things is to just sit, I let it all sort of pour out, and it feels like I'm kind of letting him in.
Robert also praised his mum Terry, calling her unbelievable.
Some badly needed bill relief may be on the way for Victorian households if a proposed cut to the default electricity rate is adopted. As Edward Godfrey reports, the average home could save almost $50 next financial year and potentially hundreds more.
At a time when everything seems to be going up, some hip pocket relief may be on the way.
Victoria still has cheaper electricity prices compared to other states. We know, though, that many Victorians are experiencing cost of living pressures.
The Essential Services Commission proposing a 3% cut to the Victorian default electricity price. If adopted, it means the average home would save about $46 next financial year.
It's a modest decrease that's being proposed, but it's still a welcome one.
A 5% cut for small businesses, equating to a $172 saving. Around 1 in 5 Victorian homes and small businesses are on the default rate, either because they can't change provider or they won't. The Essential Services Commission's role is to protect customers from being ripped off. But if they can, they are urged to seek a better deal. Comparison agency CanStar says some may be able to cut their bill by hundreds.
The average household that moves from a default offer in, say, Melbourne down to one of the lowest offers in the market, they could potentially save almost $350 in a single year.
A final decision on the default rate will be made in May, and it may change. One determining factor could be the Middle East conflict.
We will look at what the impact of what's happened overseas here for Australians before making our final decision.
Edward Godfrey, 9 News.
Coming up for you, a plaque commemorating a Bayside teen's tragic death stolen by heartless thieves.
Police hone in on several sheds as the hunt continues for Gus Lamont.
Atlassian swings the axe, hundreds of workers being replaced by AI.
And Wills pays tribute to the sailors and submariners of the Royal Australian Navy.
A fresh 2-day search for any trace of little Gus Lamont, who was last seen in the South Australian outback, has now concluded. Detectives failed to find any new evidence of the 4-year-old as they rechecked sheds at the remote Oak Park station in the state's mid-north. It was hoped that recent floods may have washed away soil and exposed some new clues. A brass plaque paying tribute to a Bayside teenager killed by a drug driver has been stolen. The memorial for Lachlan McLaren was stripped from Parkdale Beach, devastating his family. Penelope Leash reports.
For 4.5 years, Kerry McLaren has come to Parkdale Beach without his son. It's where he and so many others remember Lachlan, whose life was stolen by a drug driver as he walked his girlfriend home on his 16th birthday. On Sunday, thieves took his memory too.
There are no words to describe how we felt. To look and see that someone had physically taken it off.
The plaque paying tribute to Lockie overlooked the place he grew up. It's where his family marked his 18th birthday.
Obviously, we feel that it was a direct attack on Lachlan and it was pure disrespect, but it's not like that at all. It was scrap value.
And there's very little monetary value.
After looking at the cost of scrap, it was worth, if that, $2.
Police are investigating after a number of similar thefts in the area. Kerry hopes the thieves and any scrap yards that might have bought the tribute will reflect on what they've taken.
Surely somebody would have seen the words written on that plaque and they still accepted it as a nominal value.
Offers have already come in to pay for a new plaque. Kerry is speaking to Kingston Council on how best to replace the tribute to Lockie.
He was a kind, caring soul who loved the water and he would do anything for anybody.
And he did. His final act was pushing his girlfriend out of the path of the car that killed him. It's that spirit his loved ones want restored.
To feel that kindness, that's what we want people to feel.
Penelope Leash, 9 News.
The multi-billionaire boss of tech company Atlassian has cut 1,600 jobs, claiming it's a victim of AI. Mike Cannon-Brookes made the announcement in a video message before telling staff to check their email. This report from Damien Ryan.
Mike Cannon-Brookes has long lived in the fast lane, his own private jet, luxury mansions and backer of an F1 racing team. But now the multi-billionaire has lost his shine.
This is a very tough day.
No doubt, as you're about to sack 1,600 people, 10% of your staff.
I am deeply sorry for the disruption this creates in your life.
Atlassian, an Australian-American software company, grew into a tech giant. Cannon-Brookes and partner Scott Farquhar soaring up the rich list, offering tips along the way.
The biggest problem the government has at the moment is it doesn't understand technology broadly.
But it was technology which outsmarted them, succumbing to the AI revolution and watching their share price tank, down 66% in the last year.
The key stumbling block is that a lot of vendors are overestimating how much return they can get from this technology and underestimating how expensive this stuff is to run over time.
The job cuts were not only brutal but swift. At 8:15 this morning, Mike Cannon-Brookes released a video blog to staff informing them that there would be job cuts. He said then in the next 20 minutes, those who will be impacted will receive an email confirming that they no longer had a job.
It's an incredibly hard decision, but I still believe that it's the right one.
Damien Ryan, 9 News.
Prince William has sent a heartfelt message to Australia's Navy as it celebrates its 125th anniversary this month. The future King recognised its outstanding service and defence of Commonwealth partners during the 2 world wars.
We thank those who continue their spirit of service today. I'm proud that UK and Australian sailors and submariners are celebrating these anniversaries together.
Meanwhile, the British submarine HMS Anson briefly visited under the AUKUS agreement, a key milestone for the project.
Still ahead in the news for you, medical marvel, an implant to fix failing hearts now being tested on Australian patients.
Consensus among the big four that rates are going up. Chris Kohler's finance report is next.
Drone deliveries keep snack time interesting for the zoo's orangutans.
And mural mania in Frankston as street artists paint the town. Another major bank now expects the Reserve to raise interest rates at next week's meeting. Finance editor Chris Kohler has the details.
One after another, economists are changing their predictions. CBA and ANZ now agree with Westpac and NAB. They all think the Reserve Bank will hike interest rates next week and again in May. Higher oil prices will flow through to inflation, they say, and the central bank will move to tackle it. One of the impacts of predicted rate rises is that our currency has been jumping. It might be a difficult time to travel, but Australians overseas have a dollar in their hand that is at its highest level against the Japanese yen since 1990. It's also at its strongest level against the New Zealand dollar since 2013, since 2024 against the euro and pound, and it's at a 4-year high against the US dollar too. Worth knowing if you're planning a trip. The ASX fell sharply today, losing about $40 billion in value. Once again, energy was the only sector in positive territory. No surprise when you see the oil price surged once again, now just a fraction below $100 a barrel.
An innovation to fix failing hearts is being tested on Australian patients in a world-first trial. It's providing hope when there are no other ways to treat their severe disease. Health reporter Gabriella Rogers has the story.
A smile and a spring in his step. 81-year-old James Norris is the first patient in the world to have this device inserted in his heart as part of a clinical trial.
I'm just really grateful that I was chosen to.
He had no options. He had, his heart had become far more enlarged than the 2 years prior when we first assessed him. He was going to die from heart failure at some point.
The underlying cause affects up to 8% of elderly Australians. The tricuspid valve on the right side of the heart is leaking badly. The jet-like flame is actually blood pumping backwards. While clips can be used on the leaflets to close the leak, that option wasn't feasible for James, the defect too large. Doctors performed keyhole surgery at Macquarie University Hospital, implanting the new device through the groin to the heart. The nickel titanium mesh and saline-filled balloon act as a spacer to block the backflow of blood. 9 patients around the world have now been fitted with the device, including 3 from Australia, who've made a remarkable recovery. 83-year-old Marie Guerin is one of them.
Her heart wasn't getting enough blood forward. She'd have kidney failure and she would end up on multiple infusions in coronary care. Today, Marie is living back on her own at home.
Gabriella Rogers, 9 News.
Frankston will once again be turned into an outdoor gallery by international and local artists for the annual Street Art Festival. As Isabel Quinlan discovered, for the first time, visitors will be able to take an original piece home.
Painting the town, one laneway and building at a time.
It's just a beautiful thing to be able to connect with the community and give them something really special for their environment.
The Frankston Street Art Festival is back, adding another chapter to the suburb's ever-growing outdoor gallery, which is now home to more than 100 pieces.
We've got some portraits coming up, we've got some more abstract artworks, and sometimes there's opportunities where you can actually interact with the artists.
Ukrainian-born artist Irina Apostolova is one of the creatives taking over the streets.
I wanted to bring some vibrancy to the space, so I'll be using yellow colours, like all the warm colours, and the idea of me painting my daughter, who reaches to the light.
There will be live paintings, guided walking tours and hands-on youth workshops and a new street art studio. For the first time in the festival's history, if you fall in love with an artist's work here, you can actually take an original piece home through a silent auction. The free event starts Monday. Isabel Quinlan, 9 News.
Melbourne zookeepers have begun deploying a drone to fly in snacks to the highest points of the orangutan enclosure. The extra hurdle is designed to boost enrichment, encouraging Marlu and Gabby to climb and forage as they would in the wild.
They wrap up seeds and nuts into multiple layers of fabric, so the animals have to manipulate and open up these little packages to get the food. So it's like pass your parcel style that we deliver up there.
While it's sometimes a challenge for keepers to come up with new ideas, it is crucial that orangutans are kept busy and feel engaged in their environment.
Big game at the MCG tonight. Let's head back to Tony Jones and perhaps even more interest, TJ, about the man you're going to talk to.
Well, that's right. He's certainly been the man of the moment, central to the football narrative this week. That, of course, is the former Carlton captain, Sam Doherty. He'll be joining us live right here after the break. Also coming up tonight, a new suitor joins the race to sign Nick Dacos long-term. Sam McClure will join us at the G. He has those exclusive details. Also, the Cats bring back the big guns for their clash with the Dockers. And Chelsea prove, well, a real pushover in the Champions League. Welcome back to the MCG. Let's get straight into it now. As I said, the man of the week in many ways, Sam Docherty, joins us. How's the week been?
It's been eventful, to say the least, TJ. It's been a crazy time from my comments being aired when they weren't supposed to trying to take control of the narrative, but ultimately it's been honestly a bit of fun and by the back end of the week I have no ill intentions towards the club, and it's nice to be here with footy coming over. I'm stoked that there's a game of footy on tonight and we can move on to something else.
All right, now plenty of comments here from the crowd, all supportive.
Yeah, it's nice. I've had a lot of love from the football fans at Carlton, especially across my career, and it's kind of continued tonight. It's nice to get a bit of love when you're walking in the game.
What about being dumped from that function? Was that churlish or justified?
No, I completely understand it, to be honest. Football clubs are great places and they protect their people and their identity inside, and I understand that there's a lot of PR that comes around that, and whether it was the right move or not, it doesn't really bother me. I've spoken to Righty and Vossi at the club and smoothed it all over. There's a lot of love there, still a lot of love. I'm still a passionate fan of the club and looking forward to a good game of footy tonight.
Who are you sitting with?
I'm sitting up with Goz tonight, so I might have a few choice words for him just to make sure he doesn't do it all over again.
Good on you, mate.
Thanks, TJ.
All right, good on you. Daniel Gorridge, of course, the man whose podcast that was. Sam Docherty joining us. Sam McClure joins us now with, some breaking news in many ways concerning Nick Dacos at Collingwood.
It certainly is, TJ. The Collingwood president said last week that it would be unfathomable to think about Nick Dacos playing anywhere else, where they're going to have to start fathoming it, Collingwood supporters, because there are other clubs other than Tasmania entering the race, and I'll put Hawthorn firmly up the top of that list. He's contracted until the end of 2029. Collingwood would like to extend that for a lot longer. Nick Dacos unwilling to entertain that currently.
So they want him as a pie for life, and
Absolutely.
He's saying no.
Yeah, he wants to see what happens with Tasmania. Remember, the Devils are meant to come into the competition in 2028. He also wants to see how Collingwood goes. Remember, it wasn't all happy camping at Collingwood with Nick Dacos last year.
Why?
Well, particularly with what happened with the Copeland Trophy, with the best and fairest that he absolutely should have won, to the point where Craig McRae announced this last week after the game. They've changed the system of voting. So this is a massive watch Nick Dacos and the Pies for the next couple of years.
All right, so as it stands at the moment, he's balking at signing on as a pie for life. Hawthorn circling, the Devils circling.
And they won't be the only two. You can imagine how many other clubs who have room in their cap and maybe some things to trade draft pick-wise, player-wise, will be throwing their hat in the ring. This is arguably the guy who's on the way to being one of the best players of all time.
All right, Sam McClure there with that exclusive report.
Thanks, TJ.
You, Sam. Back with Footy Classified, of course, on Monday. Speaking of Collingwood, all the focus was on the skipper today, as Joel Kennedy tells us.
Darcy Moore put to the test this morning, ultimately not enough to be past fit to face the Crows.
Darcy won't play. No, Darcy had to get through a fitness test and unfortunately he's pulled up a bit sore. I'm not sure exactly what that means at the moment, but he won't play.
Recovering from a troublesome calf, it was actually his hamstring that sent a scare through the Pies camp. The skipper offers scans after reporting tightness.
It wasn't a major thing or anything, but just enough awareness there to justify a scan.
Relief for the club, those scans came back clear. Ultimately, it's the lingering calf issue that will be the reason for his absence on Saturday.
Just had 4 to 5, 6 weeks of pre-season now, and then we set that up, and again, there's some reason that he's not there, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
Adelaide's Riley Thilthorpe looms as perhaps Collingwood's biggest threat. Without the likes of Darcy Moore and Jeremy Howe, Collingwood's backline will be tested. Jamie Elliott was missing with illness, but is expected to play. At Hawthorn, 4-time premiership player Jared Roughead is set to vacate the role of player acquisition manager to become Adelaide's list manager. His first port of call perhaps helping land Brisbane's Zach Bailey. The Crows have offered a whopping $10 million contract over 7 years. Meanwhile, police have released the mugshots of Connor McDonald and Dylan Moore after the pair spent a night behind bars in the US on trespassing charges in November. Joel Kennedy, 9 News.
All right, a big weekend of football coming up. It starts tonight. Owen Leonard joins me now with the teams and some big ins and outs.
Yeah, just a handy couple of wins for Geelong, TJ.
Yeah.
Jeremy Cameron and Patrick Dangerfield, if you don't mind, have come back from injury. And there's a debutant, 206-centimetre, 20-year-old ruckman, Mitch Edwards, comes in for his first game. But James Warple is out of that side with a finger injury. Wasn't on their injury list this week, curiously. Moving on to the Demons, as we flagged at 4 p.m, the Pickett cousins. They're set to light up the MCG on Sunday against St Kilda, with Latrell named in that extended squad. And the Lions, depleted Lions, taking on the Swans due to suspensions and also injuries injuries, but some relief in the form of Sam Draper, the former Bomber, playing his first game for the Lions. And a great story there as well. Lincoln McCarthy, he hasn't played since May 2024.
Yeah.
Horrible run with injury. So he's back for what will be, I suppose, an emotional comeback game for him. And just finally, the Bulldogs, they're taking on their arch rivals, GWS. Will Lewis, he's only been officially on the list for about 10 days. He's in for his first game. And Riley Sanders as well, a big in for their midfield.
Good work, Owen Leonard, joining us there. It's not all about football, of course. In cricket, Victoria could make Sheffield Shield history against South Australia with a record-equalling 8th straight outright win. But the Vics are eyeing higher accolades, having already locked in a home final.
It's more just focusing on what we do and our processes, our plans, getting ready for this week and then also next week. So yeah, it's a nice bonus, but it's not what we're playing for.
Hanscom has achieved his own slice of history, equalling the all-time record for most catches by a non-keeper. The clash against South Australia gets underway at the Junction Oval on Saturday. Captain Sam Kerr says the best is yet to come from her Matildas at the Asian Cup. The Aussies will be without Steph Catley and Hayley Raso, but are confident heading into their quarter-final showdown with North Korea.
We've been building ourselves up. I think every game we've got better, and hopefully that's the case for tomorrow. We can have our best performance of the tournament and go through, and I think it's a good sign that we haven't peaked too early.
Meanwhile, in the Champions League, Chelsea's Pedro Neto was lucky not to have been red-carded for shoving a ball kid in the Blues' 5-2 loss to PSG. So that's sport for the moment. I'll tell you what, there's no danger of me getting lonely here tonight. Sherry's here with the weather, and it will be warming up after tonight.
I was just about to say, I'm really glad to be in the mix, TJ. It will still be quite cool and cloudy tomorrow. Maybe a light shower again, but the important thing is that it's shaping up to be a cracking weekend of weather. I'll have the full forecast live from the G coming up next. Hello again. Well, footy is officially here and it's feeling a bit fresh at the moment at the MCG. Now, we only managed a top of 19 degrees mid this afternoon in the city, but with a cool southerly breeze, it actually felt closer to 14 at the time. Now, at the start of play tonight, it will be even cooler, around 16 degrees, but feeling more like 10. So if you are joining us, definitely layer up, and we can't rule out a light shower as well, so keep that poncho handy. Now, today, most suburbs had under 2 millimetres in the gauge. Ferny Creek collected 6 mil, but it was pretty cool up that way as well, with the top of just 14 degrees. Statewide, the showers mainly focused around Gippsland and central areas, but Warrnambool in the southwest also collected a decent 9 millimetres today, a top of 18 degrees. A high-pressure ridge will move into Victoria tomorrow. However, we are still in a southerly airstream, so cool and showery conditions will continue for the south. Heavy rain continues for the tropics of the country in those flood-affected areas. Darwin could collect up to 30 millimetres tomorrow, 40 mil in Cairns, and Brisbane will see showers increasing with a top of 31. Here in Victoria, a chilly morning statewide with plenty of minimums in the single digits and still a cool and cloudy day ahead for most of the state. Ballarat should only see a maximum of 18 tomorrow, but looking much better this weekend though. Perfect timing because Victoria's blockbuster month of events continues. Make your way to Neerim and Gippsland for Arts Fest this weekend. The town has transformed into an open-air sculpture gallery. This year's theme, The Spirit Soars. Still in Gippsland, escape to the Inverloch Equinox Festival next weekend. There's plenty on offer, including food, music, art and wellbeing workshops. Or take in some tunes at the Corolla Music Festival, suitable for all ages. The event blends a range of genres, including blues roots, folk and country. And across Melbourne, we could see a light shower tomorrow, more so in the early morning, but it's just a slight risk, otherwise cloud and not many suburbs making it over 20 degrees tomorrow. Frankston, Ringwood and Moorabbin all reaching 21. later in the day, we could be lucky enough to be finishing up the working week with some sunny breaks. We should hit a mild top of 20 mid-afternoon, still feeling about 5 degrees cooler, but not quite as chilly as today. And our weather is timing perfectly for the weekend again. Skies clearing Saturday, a chilly morning down at 11 degrees, but a lovely top of 24 to follow, even warmer Sunday at 27 degrees, but it will cloud over later in the day with the chance of a light sprinkling, and it could be a bit damp on Monday, adding no more than 2 millimetres. A possible shower on Tuesday will be easing, and a top of 22 degrees. It is clearing up again midweek. Well, the game isn't far away from starting. We've got that cool southerly coming through. Pretty soon though, guys, we'll be hearing the cheers erupting from the MCG on this chilly night. Nothing beats footy season in Melbourne, that's for sure.
Yes, well said. It certainly doesn't, Sherri. Thank you. And that is 9 News this Thursday. Ali is up next with the current affair.
We hope you have a great evening. For now, from the team, it's good night.